Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Another increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations. Protests in Thomas are upset. And later in the Netherlands for 3-match one-day series starting next week. I'm Giovanni Dennis and here are the details. Up first, there's been another increase in COVID-19 hospitalizations in Jamaica as the country grapples with the 5th wave of the virus. 13 more patients have been hospitalized with the virus, increasing the total to 120. 4 of the patients are severely ill and 3 are in critical condition. 131 COVID-19 cases were confirmed yesterday from 1,782 samples. The positivity rate is now 28.3%. Meanwhile, 4 more persons have died from COVID-19, increasing the total to 3,042. 3 of the fatalities happened in St. Catherine and 1 in Clarendon. 2 of the deaths happened in February and August last year, while the other 2 were recorded this month. 4 more deaths are being investigated by the Ministry of Health. To other news, a protest over a dust problem along the licensed main road in St. Thomas Wednesday morning got heated as motorists clashed with protesters. It came after the protesters blocked the main road, leading to a pileup of traffic. Kalisha Williams has that story.
Protesters versus taxi drivers. It started out as a demonstration over the dust nuisance along the licensed main road in St. Thomas. Residents blocked the road, leading to a massive traffic buildup. The residents said they want the authorities to hear their grouses, but taxi drivers and other motorists just wanted to go about their business, leading to a heated expletive-laden argument. But why are the residents so upset that the motorists are not uniting with them?
And we're not trying to create any problem, but we are dying. We're going to show Jamaica that we are dying. We're not creating any problem. We are dying. So we're going to prevent ourselves. We are just being proactive.
They told us the dust along the road is just too bad for residents to be silent any longer, and it has been an ongoing issue since work started to repair the road.
The dust has killed me, and I am sick and tired of talking about it. The last time I was on here with same TVJ, nothing has been done. This, see the postman over there, sir, he can't even open his stall.
No dialogue. We just left in it, so pure dust.
I live on the main road, and trust me, we can't open our doors, we can't open our windows. If we have to go to the shop, we have to be wearing a mask. The road is not being wet as often. Out here look like we're having a snow dust storm.
This man operates a restaurant along the main road.
Can't eat food in here, someone. Look at our kitchen, look at my pot. Our pot, yes, the pot. And beer dust, if you are in a cost store. Can't live so better.
Soon after, the police arrived on the scene and started removing the debris. Minutes later, quick response from the authorities. A water truck was called to help control the dust. However, the residents believe the truck should be used at least 3 times per day to rectify the problem. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Communications Manager at the National Works Agency, Stephen Shaw, said the NWA is working with the contractor to control the dust along the licensed main road. Mr. Shaw stressed that the road cannot be too wet frequently because the surface will become saturated. He said residents will soon be in a dust-free environment as the road work will be completed before the end of August. And the Narcotics Division has released more information on the arrest of 3 Jamaicans yesterday on the request of U.S. authorities for alleged money laundering activities. In a statement, the police say the men were arrested on provisional warrants pending extradition to the United States to answer to drug and money laundering charges. Saint Devon Anthony Cover and Dennis Raymond Rowe were first arrested and brought before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on Tuesday. The third man, Benjamin Affleck, is to be brought before the court at a later date. 17 of the suspects were also arrested between Colombia and the United States. The Narcotics Division says these arrests represent several years of investigations between its partners in Colombia and the United States, which culminated in the arrest of these men and the seizure of millions of US dollars. The US authorities allege that the Jamaicans were involved in a sophisticated international money laundering organization which handled millions of US dollars in drug trafficking proceeds from Colombian cartels through the US and Caribbean and European banking systems. The Clarendon police are trying to find out the motive for the shooting of 3 people, one fatally last night. The deceased has been identified as 29-year-old Troy Roswell, a bar operator and security guard of a Buckner address. A 20-year-old man and a 31-year-old woman were shot and injured. It's reported that about 9:15, Mr. Roswell and his common-law wife were closing their bar on Rectory Road last night when men armed with guns entered. Both persons were shot. A patron was also shot. The gunmen escaped in a waiting motorcar. Mr. Roswell was pronounced dead at hospital. The woman was admitted and the 20-year-old man was treated and released. The father of Mr. Roswell spoke to our news team.
I look for nothing like this. I mean, I know what is the motive, but you know, I'm dead. So I just look upon him and gone. Bad.
And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. There's a call for more opportunities to be made available to communities post-mining. Councillor for the Mandeville Division, Jones Oliphant, says mining brought large-scale losses and water and air pollution instead of opportunities to communities. But Mining Minister Audley Shaw says there are opportunities available. Codian Barrett reports.
Councillor for Mandeville Division Jones Oliphant is calling on the government to make good on its promise to provide opportunities to residents in mined-out communities. He says mining in Manchester has created a number of problems and stressed that residents, home seekers and other stakeholders have waited long enough for government intervention.
Proper land reclamation, land titles for resettled residents, subdivisions developed by the mining companies are not up to the required infrastructural standards. Policies needed for the use of mined-out lands to allow the municipality and other government agencies to access the development of housing and also agro-processing plants. While Jamaica continues to operate in our parish, and the problem of dust nuisance persists and must be addressed as a matter of urgency.
But Mining Minister Audley Shaw says the government has been active in its approach in providing opportunities and housing solutions to residents.
The government of Jamaica will not turn its back on issues that are important to mining host communities and our residents generally. The government is committed to ensuring that mining entities are carrying out their mandates in the issuing of land titles to families who have been relocated. We are working in partnership with all bauxite alumina companies, the municipal corporations, National Land Agency, National Works Agency, and the National Environment and Planning Agency.
Mr. Shaw says additional opportunities will come from continued mining projects in the parish.
Rest assured that the support to the industry must take into consideration the impacts on our people and, of course, our natural environment. Additionally, the government remains committed to effectively plan for life after bauxite. Bauxite is very much alive in Manchester. And if managed properly, the parish has in excess of 15 years of bauxite mining subject to the rate of extraction.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
To other news, the Ministry of Health says it's on a drive to help improve sexual and reproductive health among students. This follows concerns about an upsurge in the number of students engaging in sexual activities. Sandy Williams reports.
State Minister in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, says more young people are having sex at an early age. She says the public health system have noted an upsurge in the number of sexually active adolescents across the island.
Well, it is concerning because when you look at it, boys age 11 to 15 are having sex. That's when we see the trend of the boys, and the girls is a little bit higher than that. But it is concerning, and so it's important with the HIV, the numbers that I just mentioned of 618 new cases of HIV amongst that age group.
According to the Ministry of Health, the average age for first-time sexual intercourse among youths ranges from as early as 11 to 13 years for boys and 15 to 17 years for girls. This coincides with data from the annual HIV STI Review 2021, which revealed that 16% of the 618 new cases of HIV reported in 2020 were adolescents between ages 15 and 19. Figures from UNICEF also show that youths aged 15 to 24 continue to record high rates of unplanned, ill-timed, or unwanted pregnancies. It's why Mrs. Cuthbert-Flynn stresses that it is important to educate students about the risks associated with early sexual behavior. She also adds that mechanisms must be put in place to mitigate risky behavioral and lifestyle practices among students. So far, the government has established a comprehensive sexual education curriculum in schools to sensitize students about sexual and reproductive health.
There's also something that the ministry that we're doing. You have the Teen Hub, where children or youth can actually get information. We have one in Halfway Tree. There's another one coming in St. Thomas because there's a high prevalence of sexual activity amongst our youth in that region. And so last week there was a youth expression launch of the youth expression with the National Family Planning Board, where our youths can actually call on that. It's Youth Expression JA.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Time now for the Business Minute with O'Shane Masters.
U.S. drug giant Pfizer said it will no longer make a profit from selling its patented medicines to 45 of the world's low-income countries. Pfizer said the plan includes 23 patented medicines and vaccines which treat infectious and rare inflammatory diseases and certain cancers. The firm has previously been criticized for making profits from its coronavirus-related vaccines. The pandemic has been lucrative for the company, and its revenues last year doubled to $81.3 billion. It made almost $26 billion in revenues in the first 3 months of this year, partly from the coronavirus vaccine it developed with Germany's BioNTech pharmaceutical company and its pill to treat the virus. The Jamaica National Group is hopeful that a banking license it applied for in the Cayman Islands will be granted by the summer. If garnered, the Cayman Islands will become the third commercial banking market for the group, in addition to Jamaica and the United Kingdom. Its application for Category A banking license in the Cayman Islands was made in December 2020. The group says if approved, its investment in the build-out of a banking operation could run to $15 million. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm O'Shane Masters.
And here now is a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's Health Report, we look at dyslexia.
This is different. These are children who have, even with all the opportunities, extra lessons, etc., they just have an issue on a neurological level with things related to language acquisition, like spelling and reading. So no amount of punishment or shaming is going to make it any better. These are not lazy children or children who don't want to learn. They genuinely have an issue that only practice and very specific interventions will help.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Listen to audiobooks as an alternative to reading. Type on a computer or tablet instead of writing. And use a ruler to help read in a straight line to stay focused.
Time now for the top regional and international stories with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Amina Mohammed has highlighted the need to focus on least developed countries and small island developing states (SIDS) that suffer disproportionately when disasters strike. Addressing the 7th session of the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction, she says disasters can wipe out decades of development, progress, and economic growth in a single event. She says this can have very serious long-term economic and social consequences. SIDS, including the Caribbean region, have called for the international community to re-examine the system used to assess countries' qualification for developmental assistance.
And we now head to a quick break. When we come back, Renata Brown will have the midday sports.
Welcome back. It's now time for your midday sports. At sports time, Jamaica were trailing Catalonia 1-0 in their friendly international in Spain. The Reggae Boys starting 11 sees Dylan Barnes in goal, Janet Talbot, Joel Latibodier, and Jamoy Topi as the centre-backs. The wing-backs are Ricardo Thomas and Tariq Zimenez. The midfielders are Ramon Howell, Jordan Cousins, and Junior Flemings, with debutants Johnson Clark Harris and Omari Hutchinson, the strikers. The Reggae Boys will next be in action at the National Stadium on June 7 against Suriname in the CONCACAF Nations League. And head coach of Montego Bay United, Lee Croft Letman, says he's starting to see improvements in the team from their last 2 Jamaica Premier League games after a woeful start to the season. Since taking over from Ricky Hill in March, Letman has lost 7 of his 10 games in charge of Montego Bay United, with his only win coming via a 1-0 scoreline against Portmore United on Monday night. Letman has also included veteran Dwayne Ambersley in the team in their last 2 games, which Mobe have not lost. Speaking following the win, Letman says the team is starting to reflect his ideals.
The discipline of the boys have changed, and once we get that discipline, and the whole moral of the team has changed. And with a disciplined bunch, you must expect that we are gonna see the brand of football that I play, and the discipline carried throughout. And without discipline on the game, then they're going to give up the third. They're going to give up a ball, they're not going to chase back. Offensively, we get some shots on goal, we get corners up. Defensively, we get numbers back in defense. So it's a whole total ball game.
Despite the win, Montego Bay United remain foot off the table. In cricket, Jamaicans Brandon King and Nkrumah Bonner are among members of the West Indies men's team who arrived in the Netherlands this morning ahead of their one-day international series. The West Indies will play the Netherlands for 3 ODIs on May 31, June 2 and June 4, followed by another 3 ODIs on June 8, 10 and 12 in Pakistan. The tour of the Netherlands will be the first ever ODI series between the 2 teams. Both series form part of the ICC ODI Super League, where teams will have the opportunity to earn points to secure one of the top 7 places, excluding host India, to gain automatic qualification for the 2023 ICC Men's Cricket World Cup. And back in the region at sports time, the Jamaica Scorpions were 111 for 4 after lunch, after electing to bat against the Ghana Harpy Eagles in their 4th round regional 4-day game at the Diego Martin Cricket Ground in Trinidad and Tobago. Leroy Lugg was the first to be dismissed for 5 with a score in 17, before the Scorpions lost captain John Campbell for 37 and Orain Williams for a first ball duck with back-to-back deliveries to be 69 for 3. The Jamaican franchise then got to lunch at 90 for 3. They've since lost to Paul Palmer. The Scorpions made 2 changes to their squad from the last game, with Brandon King and Nkrumah Bonner replaced with Alwyn Williams and Brad Barnes. Sri Lanka made steady progress on day 3 of their second test against Bangladesh as they chipped away at the host lead, which now stands at 83, heading into the penultimate day in Mirpur. With the entire second session lost due to rain, Sri Lanka, who resumed at 143 for 2, reached stumps at 282 for 5. Angela Matthews, 58, and Dinesh Chandimal, 10, are the batsmen at the crease. Captain Dimat Karunaratne, who was 70 overnight, added only 10 runs to his total, with Dhananjaya De Silva making a 58. Shakib Al Hassan has so far taken 3 for 59, while Ibadat Hussain has 2 for 78. Bangladesh had made 365 in their first innings. The first test ended in a draw. And finally, Luka Doncic scored 30 points as the Dallas Mavericks sent their best-of-7 Western Conference Final Series to a Game 5 following a 119-109 win over the Golden State Warriors on Tuesday. The Mavs had trailed 3-0 before Tuesday's win. Dorian Finney-Smith also scored 23 points for the Mavericks. Now, Steph Curry added 20 points for the Warriors, while Jonathan Kuminga scored 17 from the bench. No team in the NBA's 75-year history has come back from a 3-0 deficit to win a best-of-7 playoff series. And that's it for your midday sports report. Giovanni, it's back to you.
Steph Curry, how does he rank up? Where does he rank up among the all-time greats?
Well, the argument now is that Steph Curry should be among at least the top 10 of all time.
He recently set some record with three-pointers.
Yeah, three-point records, and he continues to set those records. And he's now in the conversation for playoff MVP, should the Golden State Warriors get to the finals, and maybe even a final MVP should they win.
Okay. Looking forward to that. Well, that's the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, have a good afternoon.